Howdy. So whatever it is you're going through right now, whether it's work, a relationship, whatever the challenge, whether it's a challenge or even something good that's happening, whatever it is you're experiencing right now, one thing I want to remind you to do is don't force it, right? Now, a few months ago, I talked in one of my newsletters about the principle of Wu Wei. And Wu meaning non-Wei, meaning action, no action. And this does not mean sit there and do nothing. It instead means, instead of rowing, learn how to sail. That's how Alan Watts put it. Wu Wei is the art of sailing instead of the art of rowing. Now, when you're rowing, you're pushing and pulling against the water. You're forcing yourself to propel forward. When you're sailing, you're looking for the most opportunistic moment, the most moment of, you know what I'm trying to get at. You're looking for the best wind in order to catch that, let the sail go, and follow that. You're riding the waves instead of pushing against them. And this same principle applies to life. Every time I've tried to force something, it's never worked out in my favor. And now, in my last few videos, I've not only felt tired and exhausted, but I can see my face, particularly my eyes, kind of glassy, a little droopy. And I know from experience, this is a sign of or impending burnout, right? For a moment before, I thought it was just a buildup of emotions, and that may have something to do with it. But ultimately, I sense that I'm just tired, which is perfectly normal and okay. And there's a lot of things I talk about on here that are vulnerable for me to share. You know, I mentioned yesterday having past challenges with porn and fapping, and there's a point in time where I was doing that a lot, and it was depleting me of my vital energy. And there's been moments lately where I've fallen back into those old patterns and having to remind myself I'm not that person anymore. Who am I now? And moving towards that. But when you're moving towards a new version of yourself, when you're evolving, there is a period that I'm experiencing right now where you do stumble, you do fall, and it's hard to maintain a pace that you haven't run at before. Like if you've never ran before, I remember doing this a few years ago. I had never ran at all, period. Like maybe 2 miles once in high school for wrestling tryouts that I barely got through. Ended up quitting 2 weeks afterwards. But the point being, I had never run before, did 2 miles, and then a few years later, this is back in 2019, my friend and I had finished reading David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me, put Rocky on, and I ran 5 miles. Now, was it cool that I was able to run 5 miles? Yes. Actually, we ran 6. It was awesome. It was so dope. However, it came at a cost. I really banged up my knee doing that, and that set me back, right? And there's been moments in my life where I've pushed myself too hard. It's a habit I've gotten into, thinking that I'm more machine than I am human, when in fact, at least at this current stage of evolution, I'm full human, right? And so be kind to yourself, but also be realistic, not with your dreams, but more so with your pace. That's the best way to put it. You know, I think you should have crazy delusional dreams. However, the path to getting there is built on a compounding day by day action plan. And if that means doing, like, let's say my recent example with the 5 resumes a day, that was really hard. That would have been really hard to maintain for longer than a few weeks. Because I noticed with the last 2 weeks, it was more quantity over quality. And so one thing, a buddy of mine, the one actually who inspired me to do that even, said to me today was, he said, this is his words, I'm being more intentional with the resumes, with the jobs I'm applying for. So instead of 5 a day, maybe I do 2 a week to start, but I really put a lot of energy into each one. I make sure that that's the job I want. I spend time crafting the resume and the cover letter. I really take time. And so when you're not forcing something, when you're going with the flow, and again, it doesn't mean not do anything. That means being open to changing and pivoting as things move on. You'll become more intentional with how you move. So when it comes to not forcing, it's also important to realize, what are my priorities? I've had poor priorities, which led to poor habits. And poor habits on a day-to-day basis has led to poor performance and poor results. Now, I'm not shaming myself here. I'm using these videos rather, as a way to document my challenges, my struggles. And I've always appreciated when people are raw and honest. Theo Vaughn, in his podcast, does a tremendous job at doing that. And he's incredibly successful. So we're moving into a paradigm where I feel like we need to respect masculinity and celebrate ourselves as men, but also be open to new paradigms of masculinity that we haven't seen before, vulnerability being one of them. That's not to be confused with naivete or ignorance, but a honest approach to life. Marcus Aurelius in Meditations, I'm re-listening to it now, an audiobook, he was called verissimus, which means most true. That's what people refer to him as, verissimus. Veris meaning true, and verissimus meaning most true. I don't know if he called himself that or he was called that, but either way, to have that, to aspire to that, to like live a life where I'm going to be most true to myself and with others, regardless of the connotations that are associated with. That's really important. There's a lot of people that come to mind when I think about what that means, verissimus. How you can create your own reality to be whatever you want it to be. So don't force it. Right now, I tend to make massive to-do lists, and I have one for today. The problem is with those is that the empty check boxes, ruin my motivation. It's not a good place to be. How do I pace myself? How do I play the long game, which I talk about so often? Right. So that's kind of where I'm at now. And right now I'm feeling called to rest, quite honestly. And that doesn't mean sit on the couch on the phone or watch TV. It means literally conscious fucking rest, like sleep. So, you get home, take a shower, eat some food, maybe read some Lord of the Rings, because I fucking love that shit, and then go to sleep and call it a day. And rest until I don't need to do that anymore, because recently I've been, I thought I wanted to do it until I've gotten enough of it. Recently my schedule's been pretty off. I've been taking on a lot. I've been doing a lot of things I haven't done before, and it's been really invigorating, really exciting, but it has come at an energetic cost. So I know for me, maybe you relate with this. I'm a creative person. I'm a bit of an empath, and I need a lot of solitude to recharge. I'm social, but I need time to recharge. Otherwise I become irritable, and it's not a good place to be at. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm also checking my macros and working out super hard. Just started that. I figured since I'm transitioning into fitness right now to help with my financial and purpose-driven goals, tracking my macros is the best way for me to get in shape, the quickest and most efficient way. It's extremely effective. And every time I've done it, I look incredible. I feel great. So I'm doing that right now. More to come on that front, as well as the offer. I have more to talk about in regards to that. But yeah, so the workouts have been going very well. 4 times a week, abs 3 times a week. It's just, it's another thing that's really kind of rest. Prioritizing rest is so, so, so important. And not something I've done enough of. Go is my it's kind of like second nature to me. So being able to bring it back and using this moment right now, this challenge of literally exhaustion, as a way to move forward has been tremendously helpful. One thing I'd add to that too, which is important to take note of, I was talking about this with a friend this morning. If you're watching, you know who you are. The idea that patterns repeat itself, right? So if I'm, like I have, always going through these phases of like extreme exertion followed by burnout, there's a problem with that pattern, and it's time to address it. And It's going to keep showing up until I learn the lesson. Once I learn the lesson, I'll have experienced it. I won't see it again. But until then, those things keep popping up. Just like these videos keep popping up. So anyway, see you next video. Hope this has been helpful. Ciao.